microphone. Oh, we gotta turn the microphone back on. Ow, oh God, oh Jesus, what's happened to my headphones? Oh, snared in the hair. Oh, good Lord. Okay. Woo. Alright, let's refresh this. That open over here. God. Oh, Jesus, what's happened to my headphones? Oh, snared in the hair. Oh, good Lord. Okay. Alright, good, that's the right volume. Let's pull that open on here. Alright, good. Not dropping any frames. Good, good, good. 30 FPS, 720. I mean, I want better, but I just literally don't know how to do that. So I will take it. Scroll to try and get that in view. Alright, perfect. Alright, so we did initially have a game today scheduled between Crunchyroll and Apple Inc., but unfortunately Apple Inc. did have to forfeit that game. They had some miscommunication amongst their team, so they could not get everybody together at the right time. So unfortunately they did have to call that game. So we will only be having 2 matches today. The first one coming up right now between Microsoft Deconstructors and, Microsoft 1. Microsoft Deconstructors is the later game at 3. Microsoft 1, ONE, and Google AdWords. Oh, it's so clever. Oh, good. I mean, it's a shame that they're not up against Microsoft 1 with the W. That would be perfect, but I'll take what I can get. So that is the game. We should have that up here within the next couple minutes. The trick is I never say his name. But yeah, so we should have this up here. We're in lobby right now, getting everybody together. There's just 3 more people we're waiting on to get up in here, and then we will go ahead and introduce the teams, go through the pick band phase as per usual. Let me actually pull up my notes here, see what the likely pick bands will be, so I can actually say something you guys will care about during the pick band phase. Soft 1 and Google. Oh, where is it? There we go. Google AdWords. Perfect. Microsoft is on blue side, right? Yeah, okay. Ibne. Alright. Ibne? We're having a further little debate in chat how I'm supposed to pronounce Ibne. The team captain for Microsoft 1. Not quite sure I'm gonna actually pronounce that anytime during the actual recording, but I would go with Ibne. That seems how it would be pronounced. Very, I don't know, phonetic. Ibne. Maybe. If I want to be like very meh about it. Ibne. I could go with that. We'll see. um, Alright, let me make sure. Well, I actually can't check the other scene without switching to it, so we'll just be patient and hope I don't screw up. Hopefully I've got everything set up. I should have everything set up properly, but I do not trust my casting equipment. And anybody watching the stream, please let me know if there's any tips you guys have if you're streamers yourself, or if you watch a lot of streams. Definitely let me know if you have any tips, because this is only my second week actually getting this streaming software up and running. So I have mostly no idea what I'm doing. There's slight ideas that are occurring to me, but most of them are just shots in the dark as of right now. I know on YouTube they actually have a little chat function as well. So if you want to go ahead and communicate to me over the chat. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, you won't understand what's happening there, but that's okay. You don't have to. There we go. The chat sounds should actually be disabled right now. But good call. Thank you. See, thank you, chat. Thank you for letting me know, because I forgot that was a thing. Apparently, even if I'm away from the current screen I'm capping, it'll still bring up all the audio from other screens, which makes absolutely no sense to me. But let me know if that's killed now. It should be good. We should have silence, just the sound of my delicious radio voice. That should be all that's filling your ears right now. If you hear anything else, let me know. Looks like we've almost got everybody that we need here. We've just got 2 more people to go. And then we'll be ready to kick this kick this baby off with the introductions for both the teams here. Spoiler alert, it is Microsoft versus Google. I believe I've already said that. And if you're here for a stream, I assume you know that. Overall, by the way, this game should be a very close game. If I recall correctly, when I looked, the team's players, assuming it's the players I actually scouted for here, and they don't have any substitutions in this week, which I believe they're not going to, the teams overall should match up really evenly. So there was earlier today, a show match between 2 undefeated teams in the After Hours Gaming League. But I actually think this is probably going to be the match of the day overall. Just because the teams are so even. I mean, we've definitely casted some games on this channel where even teams actually result in really one-sided matches, because both of them are at an equal skill level. So if an early lead starts, both are equally good at snowballing that lead. So those matches actually do end up running away sometimes and getting to be a little bit one-sided once you enter the mid-game. Just because both, I mean, not that they're perfect teams, of course. Like, we're not casting actual LCS or anything. But the small mistakes they do make aren't really able to be capitalized on by the other team. So overall, they do. These guys. Sorry, in-game, in-lobby chat is messing with me. Not with me, but they're messing around. He's good. But yeah, anyways. Hopefully, they will be they will be joining up here soon. It should be any moment now. We're a little bit behind schedule, but that's alright. We're given a little bit extra time to make sure everybody gets in here. I wonder if there was a way I could lock the current channel I'm on and then actually view the channels differently. You know, it'd probably help if I knew how to stream before I started streaming. But oh well, here we go. Again, let me know if you got any tips watching the stream here. We're just one person away here, so we're about to get started. I will actually go ahead and move this on over. You know, that's actually a good question, chat. I feel so strange saying that because I'm not used to having a live chat. I cannot figure out for the life of me how to get this to be widescreen. I believe the issue is that I just have the actual, like, my monitor isn't widescreen, so the aspect ratio I just have my computer default set to is not, and I'm just essentially screen capping what's projected onto my computer right now for the stream. So when I upload it, it goes in a, like, normal, well, not exact box, but mostly a box. But yeah, I can't figure out, without actually getting a separate monitor just so I can stream in a widescreen, I'm not sure without changing the actual format for my computer how I can change what it's uploaded as. So unfortunately for now, they are not uploaded in the full widescreen as YouTube like has determined as the proper widescreen. But I am actually looking into that. I'm gonna see if I can try and get that, figure out a way to get the ratio that the XSplit takes. I'm gonna see if I can get that to just maybe even if it has to cut off a little bit of the edges for me, and I can just, I'm already all the way zoomed out, but even if it cuts off a little bit of the edges, I'll see if I can get XSplit to cap a just zoned in part of it, and I don't know, because if it did cut off the edges, we'd have to lose important data on the bottom side. We definitely can't shrink from the top down, because that's where it projects all the kills and deaths, but also in the bottom side it has all the item information, so I can't really do that either. I don't know, I'm looking into it though. I'm gonna figure it out, and I thank you, chat, for asking. So I'm gonna go ahead and just swap the screen on over for a moment. Actually, we'll just go ahead and project the lobby here to you guys. I see no problem with that. These are all people you're going to see. So yeah, as we can see here, where is it? The team captain for Microsoft One has surrendered in chat. So let it be noted for the record that this is actually just a for fun match. Afterwards, there has been an official forfeit. I believe the chat wanted the actual like in lobby chat wanted me to note that. So I'm gonna take a little screenshot for everybody just to make sure. Yeah, give you guys a little taste while we're hanging out here. I'll give you a little preview of stuff we're going to go over once we're in the actual lobby. Well, actually, I shouldn't do that just in case before we draft. Some of these people who are streaming are, well, all of these people who are streaming this are no doubt doing so in relation to one of the teams. So I actually probably shouldn't go over this until we're actually in game. Past the pick ban phase, but I do have some notes here of who some of the likely bans are going to be going into this. We have an idea for both Microsoft and Google AdWords. What some likely target bans will be coming out of both sides here. There are some. What I found to be, I do not have Twitch, but I do have. Yeah, I do have. It seems to me if I were in the shoes of these players on these different teams, there are almost for both sides 3 really top target bans I would go after. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Anyways, there are 3 target bans I would go after for each team right now. But doing so, of course, means that that's your 3 bans. And while these, I mean, obviously, since these are, like, key picks for these teams, they're champions that aren't necessarily out of the meta right now. But they would also leave a lot of key powerhouses that are in the meta, they would leave them up right now. So what we could see, if both of these teams have done their scouting properly, will be some like really high priority target bans for both sides, and then the pick phase will actually be very contentious to try and get those leftover power picks that are really strong right now in the meta. Try and get some combos on the team, of course, without leading on too much about what combos those might be. Yeah, it would certainly behoove these teams to do a little shot for shot against each other in the actual pick ban phase here. But we will see what happens. I will be there to experience it with all of you live. And thank you to the 4 people who are watching right now. That's actually, I think I've only, last week, I think I actually got up to either 6 or 7, but dang, that's close. Almost a record for my stream. So thank you all for making that happen. You're all lovely people. I hope you feel wonderful about yourselves inside. So we'll jump back here for a moment to the Spiffy logo, just as we hang out, so I can make this look all fancy and official. Why, hello, Irene. Welcome to the chat. We're now up to 6 people. I believe we are officially now tied for our record. Yeah, thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We do have just a moment left over here before we get into this game here. This is between Microsoft One and Google AdWords. Scheduled to start about 13 minutes ago, but we are just running slightly behind right now, just a pinch behind schedule. But we should be hopping right into it here in just a moment. But in the meantime, hello, greetings. How is your day? I'm not. I actually, this, for those who haven't been listening this whole time, I actually just got this stream working last week, just barely in time to try out a stream last week, and it seemed pretty successful. And I am fascinated by the chat function here because I did not realize that YouTube streams actually had a chat function embedded in them, like Twitch does. So okay, it looks like there actually will be an unusual substitution here because they could not get the last guy actually into the game here. So that will take out one of my target bans that I had in mind, at least. The guy who is the substitution, though, is a man after my own heart. He has, from my scouting, he has a very similar champion flavor as I do. But we are getting into the pick bans here. We're doing them in chat. Actually, here, I'll go ahead and throw the actual screen up here so you guys can watch along in the chat here as the pick bans do happen. We do this when, you know, we have 2 teams that actually do not own every champion in the game. So we will go ahead and allow this banter. So good. We go ahead and allow everybody to just pick and ban in the chat. That way we can make sure everybody can swap everything around properly so we can actually see people get the right champion that they want and not have to remake the whole lobby or just outright not be able to fully engage in the pick ban shenanigans that we do like. But so, looking over the bans so far, it just now occurs to me that Trist is banned twice. Oh, because he's just counting all of them. Perfect. Oh, I didn't even realize Pseudo was helping me, and I was like, well, wait a minute. These bans are being counted twice. What is occurring? Okay, great. So, first ban we do have coming out for Microsoft is going to be that Tristana. I've actually started to see a lot of Tristana rising in the meta right now. Ooh, those picks. Ooh. I've been seeing a lot of Tristana rising up again in the meta now, because she can absolutely destroy turrets with that bomb now. So the way she's used in team fights and for split pushing, or just fast pushing in general, is completely different style-wise, but she's actually made a comeback from what I've been seeing. So I think that's just a very good all-around power ban. Then we saw, of course, from the Google team here banning out Talon. And I do not have Talon in my particular scouting that I have done. I don't see any reason in particular to ban out that Talon. But it could have been that they were just trying not to get countered here, and feel like Talon would have been a strong pick against whatever it was they had in mind. And once we see what mid laner comes out, we'll get an idea here for who they were thinking of. But then we saw, of course, the LeBlanc ban coming out from the Microsoft team here. Perhaps, I mean, looking forward, as we can see, clearly they were pushing that if Google didn't ban Kassadin, they were going to first pick it, as they did end up doing here, as we can see right here. So with that Talon already banned out, they banned out LeBlanc to try and get that Kassadin. Kassadin typically is a counter pick to LeBlanc, at least in my mind. But I have seen some LeBlancs actually get just like a really early 2 gank camp at the start to push that Kassadin really hard into like a danger zone, and then as soon as LeBlanc gets her 3 abilities up, Kassadin goes down. Typically that's why you'll see some Kassadins actually run teleport. It's not just so you can charge your ultimate in base, so you actually don't run out of mana, and then teleport into a fight. It's also so when you do get harassed really early, especially if a jungler tries to get you behind with an early death, especially if they can get a first blood onto your lane opponent, then delicious in someone who's facing a cast. But so they're expecting a lot of that harassment early, so they will actually run that teleport summoner and then teleport back to lane early, just so they can heal back, not miss too much XP, and try not to fall behind in the laning phase. So if they did have the Kassadin in mind, it is a little unusual to ban out that LeBlanc, but certainly a reasonable ban overall, because LeBlanc is so strong right now. Without the silence, it's not needed. Jax being banned as the next ban for this Google team. Jax, of course, a strong champion overall. He is one of the favorite champions of Ibne, which I did end up saying. So well played there. But yeah, so he is one of Ibne's favorite champions to break out here. So that was a bit of a targeted ban overall. Of course, Jax is a monster though, so that's fine, perfectly fine ban overall, without having to be too targeted. Then we do see Vi coming out as the last ban for the Microsoft team, and then followed by the Pantheon ban as the final ban for this Google team. Vi, very strong right now. Pantheon actually re-entering the meta as well. If you can get a Pantheon player who really knows how to use that ultimate as a way to start off an engagement and really zone with that ultimate, I mean, then you got a great Pantheon player. You got a great jungler, and you're gonna develop a lot of kills for your team and actually get your lane snowballing pretty hard. So Vi, of course, a little bit more dependent on her level 6, or not as dependent on her level 6 as Pantheon. A little bit more flexibility in being able to use her Q to gap close and actually get a stun on, well, slight displacement, I suppose, onto the lane pit that she's ganking for. So Pantheon takes a little bit harder, a little bit more time to ramp up after he hard farms the jungle. But he does become quite a monster if he can actually start using those ultimates. So overall, good bans for both sides. A little bit of targeting here and there, but not too much. We do see, again, first pick Kassadin, very strong pick. It does have that flexibility of being able to go either top or mid lane. Been seeing a little bit of the mid lane Kassadin coming back in flavor, though typically he does end up in the top lane more often than not. We did see then Janna and Jinx being picked up for this Google team here. Janna is by far the favorite support champion to be broke out by Pseudo. So definitely getting a comfort pick there. Jinx certainly not too different from that as well. I'd say there's a little bit more variance than Pseudo in the ADC for Google's team, but Jinx definitely a comfort pick there as well. And certainly, I mean, if you can get Jinx actually doing a lot of damage once she's leveled up her Q a bit by giving her that shield, oh, the trades will be insane. So definitely not an early strength in the lane, but typically Jinx is so late game oriented that having Janna in lane with her will actually give her a little bit more of an early transition in her power spike in the middle of the game there. Because she will actually be able to make use, assuming of course that Jinx does level the Q first, which not all Jinx players do. I remember back when she first got out, I was insane for leveling the Q first, and everybody leveled W for the poke. So there is still some variance there, but typically nowadays you level the Q first, and with Janna in lane as your partner, I mean that just flows so well with that shield. So the next two picks coming out were Nidalee and Kalista. Kalista, insane Kalista. Nothing else to say about that. But the Nidalee pickup, we have been seeing a lot of jungle Nidalee lately. So for the flexibility of being able to go top, mid, or jungle, they were really keeping this Google team in the dark as of, concerning where that Kassadin was going, and also giving themselves a lot of flexibility to make sure that Kassadin does end up in a lane with an AP opponent to actually make use of his passive and his Q shield. But to answer that, slightly showing their hand a little bit, but you'll see why it's an answer in a moment. The next two picks for this Google team were Renekton and Kayle. Kayle actually can go top lane, and it's far less frequent to see Renekton in the mid lane. So obviously, one would think that Kayle would be sent into the middle lane here. But we actually could see, with that Anivia, we actually could see a lot of interesting stuff developing here. But so, as of right here, as of this pick right here, it did look like it was going to be a Kayle for the middle lane and a Renekton for the top lane, and a little bit of possibility to rotate those lanes back and forth to make sure they keep pairing Renekton with that Kassadin. That way he's not able to make use of his passive or of his Q shield. And then we see the picks explode right here with this Veigar Ahri pick. Absolute insanity coming out right now from this Microsoft team. Veigar and Ahri, I mean, really just continuing to drive people insane with where these lanes are going. Google probably took such a while there because they have no idea what's going on. My best guess would be, of course, Nidalee going to that jungle, which we've seen the rise of the jungle Nidalee as of late. So I'm going to assume that's Nidalee going into the jungle, Ahri hanging out in the mid lane where she's typically seen, Kassadin going up top, and Veigar going support. I've actually seen some Veigars trying to get that relic shield, because initially the Q, of course, for those of you who don't know, if you last hit with Veigar's Q, it's similar to getting last hits with Nasus's Q. But instead of just leveling the damage on that ability, Veigar actually gains just a flat amount of AP. So Something I have been seeing some Vigors do is start with the Relic Shield support item and go support so they can last hit a little bit with their Q and try and get that passive ability power still stacked up without denying any CS to their AD carry and actually, of course, helping them last hit by getting those last hits. But this way they actually do bring a lot of damage in the sort of mid-ish game, despite being from a support role. And if you really do want to go a damagey support role, a Vigor that's still able to Q farm from the support role can really ramp up hard into the late game. He's, of course, a little bit weak in the laning phase, as he does just have that one, I wouldn't really say AoE stun, but AoE with donut stun, I guess. That is really his only form of CC here. So he will be a little weak in the laning phase. This Microsoft team will have to play that back a little bit. We might even see a lane swap coming out here for this Vigor Callista team. But of course, if we can get that stun onto the champions, which it's a little tricky to aim, but if you actually land the stun on top of people to get an instant stun, Callista, I mean, with her high mobility, can just go in and start getting her Ren stacks set up during that as much as possible. So it's definitely a viable lane here, and especially if they're willing to break this out in what should be a very close game like this one. I assume this is a pretty practiced lane for them. And then that final pick of Anivia, giving us a question of whether or not this is actually going to be a Kale mid or a Anivia mid. Probably. Alright, let's hope they got the same band. So I'm gonna actually get into the recording here, so pardon the restart here, but here we go. Hello everyone, and welcome to the After Hours Gaming League. I am your caster for the match, Crick, Chronic War Catalyst, and this is the 2015 season, Week 6. I am excited to be here, and I believe you guys will be enjoying this pick ban phase as we're going to go through this in the right order here. Give us a lot to talk about, but first, let me introduce our teams for the match here. On the blue side, we will have Microsoft 1 ONE. Unfortunate, I know. You know how much I love the pun name, so I'm going to be rooting against the blue side here. Just to let you know my bias up front. They are spawning on the blue side, of course. Microsoft, a company that made this lovely OS I'm running to actually stream this game to you viewers and upload it later to you who watch it on YouTube. The charity they are playing for is Charity Water. Charity Water is a charity that tries to build clean water infrastructure in parts of the world that don't have access to clean water, as the name would imply. So they try and find areas where the local population actually has to walk for an exceedingly long period of time just to get a starting base amount of water for their day. They try and find if there's any way to bring water purification technology to that area, to try and make it so they can have a more local source of water, or if they actually do have a local source of clean water like a well, but just don't have the well up and running, they will actually help get that infrastructure in place so that that local community can have access to the most basic thing for life for us as humans, water. And they are up against, on the red side, Google AdWords. So you see why I'm actually rooting for the red side here, right? I mean, Google AdWords, like, that's a thing they use to search and put up ads, and Google ADDWARDS, like, you need more wards on the map for vision. Like, oh, so good. You know how I love it. But anyways, they are playing for, of course, Google infamous search engine website, of course. And they are playing for the charity Against Malaria. Against Malaria, as the name would imply, is a charity that tries to help fight the spread of malaria. It's one of the largest preventable diseases that we have in the world. It's the #1 killer for a lot of demographics of people when you look at the global perspective, and it can be stopped with things as simple as having a lot of nets up to prevent, of course, mosquitoes, which are the primary carrier of malaria, from getting into your system when they actually try and suck your blood. So the main thing that they do is they go around and just go to those areas where they're at high risk of malaria and make sure, especially mothers who are pregnant, have proper access to thorough netting that doesn't actually let any mosquitoes in. It doesn't have any holes or any tears in it or anything like that. And they're doing a lot to try and prevent that spread of what should be a disease that we have moved beyond as a population by now. So they do great work. I'm glad to see both of these charities here coming out. But now let's look at this delicious pick band phase here. We do have, for the blue side, Tristana, Talon, and LeBlanc coming out as the bands. And for the red side, Jax, Vi, and Pantheon coming out as the bands. Now, Tristana was a bit of a targeted ban. Jax being the most targeted ban in this pick ban phase. I'm actually not quite sure where the Talon was coming from. If they did have the Kassadin in mind, they might have banned out that Talon thinking that they were going to get the Kassadin, and then maybe followed that up with the LeBlanc ban, just to sort of feign that they weren't really interested in Kassadin. But as we see, the first pick Kassadin, so we do know that they did have quite the interest in Kassadin. And overall, this is a very interesting team composition. Technically, with the double ignites here, we do not know which side will be, or which champion here will be going into the support role, though I do believe it will most likely be Viger. We've actually seen a lot of Vigers starting with that Relic Shield so they can continue to Q farm up their ability power while they're in the laning phase without detracting anything from the AD carry. So we might see that build come out from this Viger. Of course, with the typical AP support, it's a lot more common to see the Spell Thief's Edge coming out of the support item for the game. But we might see a little something a little spicy in this game. Before we dip away from the screen for a moment, I do want to emphasize that this Jinx is running Cleanse. The reason that's done is specifically because whoever ends up becoming the support for this game, whether it is Ahri or Viger, that Charm and the Viger stun both last for so long, especially with the Ahri Charm actually displacing you towards her for a little while. That Cleanse is going to be absolutely necessary on this Jinx, who's going to need a chance to get out of where she's at. And that Cleanse will help her do so, especially with the Nidalee traps being littered around the map as they frequently are now. We do have to note that the Nidalee traps only snare the monsters, I believe, not actual champions, though they do provide vision. So, as we see Nidalee starting her Q here, it looks like we're going to have some pings coming out for both sides here, as they're looking to get a little invade going from this red side. But overall, I do want to point out as well, we see Anivia taking the heal here. That's actually a very interesting combination for your bottom lane. If you are going to have your AD carry go something like Cleanse to try and protect them, you might want to have the heal still in the bottom lane, as Nidalee will spot out this invade coming in here, will throw out the ward, and actually will get it down. It will actually get taken out, though. So good ward kill there. That one seeth the advantage. But yeah, it looks like with the flash start on Anivia, that will be Anivia mid lane, of course, with the Janus support. I just like to dream of the Anivia supports as they used to be. But it will be the Spell Thief's Edge Viger coming out here instead of that. So we will have to keep an eye on this bottom lane to see if Viger will be Q farming to try and get that AP, or if he's just going to go full utility Viger and rely on having a lot of AP coming out from this red side here with the Kayle, with the Anivia, and even some enough with the Janna to try and make sure that his ultimate will be able to do a very significant chunk of damage and really chunk out people in these team fights to make sure that they do go favorably for this blue side here. We do see, of course, that the pact has been taken between Viger and Callista here. Not the worst choice, as we actually see Viger and Callista going to get to lane a little bit late, not going to be starting the Krugs here, just going to be getting to lane a little bit late. And Jinx going to be hanging out here, does not know where they are. She sees them enter into lane. She's going to be here. And we do see Viger already taking 1 CS here. Going to be farming up that Q as much as he can, it seems like. So we will keep our eyes peeled there. Overall, it looks like fairly typical starts here for both teams. We have Renekton going for that long sword, so a little bit, well, of course, while still being aggressive, not as aggressive as the Doran's Blade would have been. Gonna look to try and just build that up into an item as quickly as possible, as we see some really aggressive zoning from that Jinx. Unfortunately, Ahri tanking a turret shot there, but getting a lot of damage down onto that Anivia. Looks like overall that Viger will actually not be farming up his Q. He was just taking that first one because Callista was unfortunately out of lane here. Actually going to miss the stun there. Perhaps trying to zone away a little bit with it, but Callista still taking quite a bit of damage. Luckily that was before the level 2 came over to this red side, otherwise that trade would have been even more unfavorable. And actually landing the charm is Ahri, and Kale does not have the heal available. Gonna go down to that last tick of Ignite here. And looking at this Ahri for just a moment, that is a blue buff Ahri now. That's gonna be absolutely monstrous for this middle lane. Of course, Kale, so actually, as we see the bottom lane here, that Ignite gonna come out from Viger, and that will not be enough? No, it won't. The Janus shield gonna be enough to keep that Jinx alive, just barely though, very close. Great pressure here in this bottom lane, but of course, Kale coming into lane with that blue buff on her, simply because she wanted to try and get an early gank out. Of course, being Kale, gonna start blue to make sure she has the mana, able to get that for early gank off. But when it goes poorly like that, I mean, that's the result. We got a Ahri in the mid lane with a blue buff, so that's gonna be disastrous here. We see forcing that Anivia to chug through all those flash charges, even eat up all her biscuits, just to try and maintain an equal amount of health here with the Ahri, who does still have quite an advantage in lane right now. We see that. Hold that thought for just a moment. Oh, beautiful shot on Viger, actually landing that AoE damage onto both the Janna and the Jinx, but gotta be careful, this Callista getting a little bit aggressive with her hopping around there, taking a bit too many shots from that Jinx, so she's gonna have to be a lot more careful now. And if they want to keep fighting off of the Viger stuns, they gotta be ready for the stun to end and get the heck out of dodge. Great charms onto this Anivia from this Ahri, absolutely monstrous. And again, what I was trying to say earlier with that blue buff, in addition to the just outright damage, great zoning with the possible stun there from Viger, actually taking quite a bit of damage though. Both of them are very low, but so is Jinx. Getting the Ren stacks in though, actually dying to the Ren, not even needing this Nidalee, who will finish up the Janna with that spear. There it is. Boom, that was delicious. The heat-seeking spear. But yeah, Jinx stepping a little bit too far forward, trying to get the last hits onto that Callista, not realizing she had the 2 Ren stacks already in her. Callista was able to throw just a couple more stacks in there and then get the kill onto her by rending those out and doing just enough damage to finish that off. We're going to have Kale come in, going to have to be zoned away by the Viger here. But just to make sure that the Callista does realize she cannot farm the rest of this lane out before Jinx returns. But overall, that will be a kill onto this Callista with an assist as well. 2 assists for that Viger support and 1 kill onto the Nidalee. So early advantage going over heavily to this blue side here. 3-0. No turrets taken yet. But with the CS so largely identical over here, aside from that Jinx and Anivia, who are both now falling behind thanks to those deaths. Of course, Anivia not really dying herself, but dealing with that blue buff is like dying. We will see them answer here with an uncontested early dragon, though, so getting that extra little boost of damage and ability power as well, attack damage and ability power. That percentage boost that first dragon does grant will make it so that this team will be able to continue to contend here. Actually going to throw down the Dominus, but Rift walking away is that Kassadin. Kassadin, of course, trying to ramp up as much as possible. Going to have to avoid fighting like he did there, as he has only the Catalyst built alongside that Flask right now. So gonna have to try and farm from a bit of ways here to not take too much damage from that Renekton, who does now have the Spirit Visage. And actually almost going down to just the spears. This Kale gonna heal, but it looks like it'll be enough. Nidalee perhaps going a little bit too far with the stun potential from Anivia and the ult. And the block, beautiful Anivia wall there, gonna be getting that Nidalee kill. Some great plays there by Anivia, good zoning using that wall, actually placing down her ultimate in an area where she could apply damage that whole time. And even there, just as we saw for a moment, put down that ultimate to where she wouldn't hit the most forward minion that was tanking the turret shot, so she could just last hit the front melee minion there and get that entire wave cleaned up with her ultimate during the meantime. Clearly some expert Anivia play here. We gotta watch this Jinx though. Jinx gonna be ulted by Kale with only 20 hit points left. Very close to death there. The Kale ult actually not really blocking out any damage. So that could have been a death going over to this blue side here, but luckily for the red team, gonna get away. But actually does not have the Viger ultimate anymore because he did use it on the Jinx, so that's going to be Kale getting away, even though she's taken very low too. But now with the turret shot coming in onto this Glyph, so they're going to have to play a little bit less aggressive in this bottom lane now. Probably just going to push out this wave and then back off here to go invest some of that gold. They do have the early BF sword, but that will be enough gold to get that pickaxe. As we see, Renekton actually trading shot for shot here with this Kassadin, forcing him to turn his attention to the Renekton, going to be making him miss a little bit of CS here. The Janus shield saving the life of that turret, really. And then it looks like gonna opt to stay in this lane to try and get that last little bit of damage on the turret, and Jinx predicting here that the Ahri is going to come, as they do not have the ward except for right here. They will eventually get zoned away and will go down here. Will be the bottom turret. So first turret of the game over to this blue side here. Kalista actually gonna look to keep going. Nidalee almost getting the steal there. She had just perhaps pounced a little bit forward. Kale did not have her smite up, so could have smited that red buff away. Unfortunately, not going to be the case here, as Kale will get that buff and head on home. Ahri going to be spawning out this pink ward. Good catch there, as Anivia trying to move around here. Anivia, we do see, of course, going for that tier and Rod of Ages start here with the Catalyst, as the Dominus is thrown down, but not going to be close enough to get damage onto that Kassadin. But of course, so this Anivia going to take a little while to ramp up, but when she does, once she completes those two items into the Rod of Ages that's stacked up, and the AP tier item, once that's stacked up as well, as the ultimate is actually thrown down, Viger actually does land the knock-up and the stun as well, but with the teleport coming in from Renekton, and the Janna Tornado actually does land on Kalista, so gonna force the flash, but gonna be able to chase her is Renekton as his flash is up. And where's the Jinx ultimate? Oh, not actually 6 is the Jinx yet. And Nidalee going in trying to get a little bit of answer, but actually gonna jump right into the Anivia damage and a turret shot for her trouble. Gonna be missing just that last little bit of damage on all three of them actually. But there's the Jinx ultimate coming out, just barely healing out of range is that Nidalee. Viger trying to provide what cover he can here. Actually, good charm again onto that Kale. We see a lot of prowess from these mid laners on their Nivea and Ahri, actually landing quite a bit of those tricky skill shots and zoning particularly well from the Nivea. So we see Kale gonna just barely be able to clear that out. Actually gonna look to shoo that Viger away. Does have the ultimate up, so if Kale came out a little bit forward, he might have been able to combo her down. But actually Kale gonna think better of it. Just throw on the one, get out of here, I have red buff auto attacks. And walk away from that without risking too much. We do see the score getting a little bit more even now, as it is 3-2, of course, with that kill onto Renekton, onto Anivia. We do see Renekton also finally upgrading that longsword into the Brutalizer here, so he will get a lot more damage coming out. Not quite sure exactly what his first item is going to be. It looks like he's going for a lot of first tier items here, or excuse me, second tier items here, before he actually completes a full item. And is going to just try and have a little bit of resistance for everybody, a little bit of survivability to maximize when he throws on that dominance, so you can just run in and not have to be worried about being melted by Kalista, who got an early kill here. Trying to pull out the dragon, but actually not juggling that aggro properly to pull it out. And actually taking a lot of damage to start this off is that Renekton, so he's going to be chunked very far out. And Kale getting stunned, absolutely blown up from that Viger stun. Unfortunately, going to miss the charm there. But Kassadin gonna ult in, get a little bit of damage. That dragon is pretty low right now. They do have vision of it, but with the Kalista run, that will be enough. Actually, Kassadin coming in, going very aggressive. Doesn't have the Rift Lock up yet, so not able to finish off that very low Jinx. But he will zone them away, and if they do see, yes, that is Nidalee seeing that blue buff is up, so they will be taking the blue buff for their trouble, and might actually get the mid lane turret off of this rotation as well. As we see, Nidalee actually did secure that blue buff there. Janna trying her best to contend with that, but being the Janna she is really unable to beat out a Nidalee who has smite. Actually going to walk right by that pink ward is this blue team, unfortunately for them. But it looks like Renekton will probably be able to get this top turret here, so that will be the first turret of the game going over to this red side. If he can get the last shot, and it looks like he'll be able to. Kassadin not going to try and contest that here. Going to play it a little safe. He does have the Rod of Ages built. We see a lot of Kassadins not going for the start we have here, being played out by Anivia, where you get the tier and the catalyst that eventually builds into the rod. It's typically a little bit too greedy to try and get that much of a late game scaling item. It kind of prolongs your power trough in the early game, which makes you too vulnerable. But we see this Anivia putting on an absolute clinic of how to be in a power trough and get kills with some really expert play here. So all kudos to this Anivia, but overall, again, as they will spot out that ward here, that is an advantage still going over to this blue side here of about 3.5 gold right now. 3,500 gold. 3.5 gold. That would not be very much of an advantage. But yeah, bringing out those early kills and out-rotating a little bit to get those early towers, perhaps most critically the towers that are on the bot side as well. So they are towers that will be playing into these dragon fights here later in the game. So overall, those dragons might start to fall in the blue side's favor here. As we do see, of course, the dragons are right now 1 for 1. So with that evened up, it's going to be a large tale of who can get these next dragons and try and get to those critical stacks. We see, looks like they know Jinx is hanging around there. They're not quite sure exactly where, but they're going to try and spot her. They're going to decide to back off, as that is fog of war here. They do see the Jinx still hanging around. They're getting peeks of everybody now, so they will decide to play a little safe. Kassadin going a little aggressive, actually, as I say that. But he does have the ability to, of course, Rift Walk on out of there as soon as he wants to. So, gonna throw down a little bit of that AoE slow and just hang around, try and zone some people off. Actually gonna go hard on this Kale, who throws on her ultimate, so it does prevent some damage. And actually with the teleport coming in as well, he's gonna... No! Sidesteps the Jinx ultimate, and as soon as Kale... Oh, Kale was not able to turn on her either, and could not get the last auto attack onto that Cassidy, so he will be making it out of there with his life. But the same will not be said for Kale, who does go down to the Viger with his ultimate and the stun, so he can land those skill shots. And trying to get a kill on the way out is Ahri, realizing that she was going down, trying to make a valiant effort there. So overall, that will be 1 for 1. But during the meantime here, this middle lane turret taking quite a bit of damage, actually not dead yet, and it looks like Anivia will be able to get these minions off of her front line here. So that will be the middle turret saved by the Anivia, as we see the spooky ghost dying out in the jungle here. But yeah, so that was a inner turret in the middle lane taken out here, going over to this blue side. So now overall the score is 4 for 1. All the outer turrets gone and that middle inner turret dead as well for this blue side. In favor of this blue side, I should say. So as this pink ward gets cleared out here, throwing down the tornado just in case somebody wanted to chase her, trying to punish her for that pink ward kill. But overall, that gold advantage is what's really working in favor of the blue side here. Minor kill advantage, but overall, what's helping them, because the kill participation for this red side has been very strong here. They've been involving a lot of people to make sure those assists get spread around. Actually landing the spear, going to be able to pounce up to this Kale, who will throw on the ultimate. Not stunned right now, but between the Ignite and the Nidalee, that's going to be enough damage to finish her off. Especially when you land that spear to the face. Good zoning there being used by this Viger. And all of a sudden, we might have to see a very unusual ban in the Viger support coming out in future games here. We do actually see Viger ended up trading that back in and went with the coin here to upgrade it to that Talisman of Ascension. Just went with the Spell Thief's Edge for that early harassment power and ambient gold gain here. As we see, a lot of trading back and forth actually going in favor of this Cassidy. Now that he does have that rod stacking, it is up to 14 stacks. So Renekton gonna have to be careful. Oh, actually, Ahri gonna Spirit Rush in, and with the last turret shot, no, that will be enough with the burn from the scale. So Ahri gonna be punished for going in and being the one to tank those turret shots, as opposed to Cassidy, a little bit tankier with that rod. So he's going to be able to... They do need to juggle that turret aggro a little bit better next time if they're going to want to execute a dive like that. But overall, that still is a 1 for 1. So extending this lead is the blue side, as they were able to get a little extra kill participation in there with the assist going over to Cassidy. But the blue side, or excuse me, the red side will secure this blue buff. It is warded, but they're actually going to go try and contest the dragon straight here. But so many Ren stacks in that will just be a straight up Ren kill for the Callista. No smite needed. And Cassidy actually trying to take the blue buff was not able to. Was very close though, but that blue buff did go over to... was that Jinx? Who was that? It actually did go to the ideal target here of Anivia, getting that fresh blue buff. So she will be able to use that ultimate quite a bit to wave clear. We do see more pink wards coming out from this blue team, being pretty aggressive with their warding, and I gotta say it's paying off for them. When we look very quickly here at the vision, we see insanely deep wards for this blue side here, and the red side has been forced to ward defensively in their own jungle. So I mean, even as we see Kale actually not going to go down here, Viger not going to throw out the ultimate there, not confident in that, even with Nidalee around. Oh, Nidalee actually going to have to flash over that wall so she doesn't die here. Like I was saying, this might have been a misclick here. But this ward was certainly not. They're warding very defensively in their own jungle here is the red side, so playing it very safe. As Callista gonna try and take that red buff, but gonna be zoned away as she is a little low. Actually, gonna pay for her life. She does miss the flash, overestimated it just a bit, but she did start the ultimate so Viger could get over that wall and get out. So Hero Callista actually saving the Viger, but will go down herself as she missed the flash. Possibly could have saved both of them, or at least forced flashes out of this red side to pursue that, but that will be another kill going over to this red side. Definitely needed kill here. Actually, Kassadin rift walking just a second too late there, so he rift walks with the stun from that Anivia. Almost a good play there. Able to get a lot of damage in, but just not quite able to. As I was saying earlier, we do see that Kassadin going for the Zhonya's Hourglass second instead of the tier, so Anivia, as that tier is stacking up, not quite within range yet of the upgrade. But once we certainly do get these stacks going all the way up for this Anivia, she will become quite a nightmare, as she will be able to use that ultimate all the time and be able to use those abilities in very good combination with them to stick you into that ultimate for as long as possible, especially as these dragons are going to be coming up here. Those Anivia ultimates are going to be very critical as far as the engagements are going to be decided. We do see Renekton opting to get that Banshee's Veil early. Good use of that, specifically to avoid the charms and Viger Stones, but going toe-to-toe here is this Kayle. With that red buff, tempting fate here with Kassadin, as he does not have the mana to really use his abilities effectively. They're gonna have to have his recall interrupted momentarily by the Janna knockup. Renekton going a little deep here, gonna force the Talisman of Ascension to be popped from this Viger, who does land a good two-person stun, but they are not able to follow up on it. Just able to get out of range there. Getting some good harassment onto that Renekton, but that does leave this Callista up in the middle lane. But unfortunately for her, Anivia's there, absolutely able to just point blank annihilate her. If you get within Anivia, make it easy to land those skill shots. That is what will happen to you, especially if you're low health. Anivia will punish you hard. She does have that egg up, I believe, and not even gonna need it. Just destroying that Nidalee. Even with the Renekton and Janna around, she did not get any help from them. So here comes Anivia. With those two additional kills on her, and the Seraph's Embrace almost stacked up here. It's just 140 stacks shy now. Or excuse me, that is some silly math. It's just 190 stacks shy, sub 200 now. That will be a very scary Anivia here soon, especially when she has blue buff on her like she does now. So, taking down this mid turret here are the Anivia and Renekton. So that will be a 2 to 4 turrets overall. But the main thing that's giving this gold advantage over to the blue side has become no longer the middle lane, as Anivia has gotten quite a ways back up, almost even with her lane opponent. Is actually the top and middle lane. Renekton, with the amount of roaming he's been doing to try and cover for his team, as he was the one to have those the first few kills onto him, able to trade with this Renekton, or able to trade with this Kassadin, going to be just fine. But he was roaming around quite a bit, so he did fall behind in that CS overall to this Kassadin, who's now about a little bit over 50 CS ahead of him. But perhaps more critically than that even, is this Callista, who, despite having 2 more deaths than Jinx, has almost double the CS that Jinx does. Nearly 100 CS in the lead of her. And it shows from the already completed Berserker Greaves boots here, tier 2 boots, and the Runons, whereas Jinx only has the Boots of Speed and this Vampiric Scepter. So the backline being compromised for this red side is going to mean a lot less, and protecting it as well is going to mean far less than it should. So this looks like it actually will be this dragon going down, not going to be able to be contested here, and that will be the third dragon critically for this blue side here. So with that extra movement speed on an already very mobile team with the Kassadin, Ahri, Kalista, Viger not necessarily hyper mobile himself, but will make you immobile. Gonna be able to really punish this red side, especially with that Talisman of Ascension on the Viger. So there's always going to be extra mobility going around. So let's keep our eyes out here for the picks. So we're going to be looking for the Viger catches, for the Ahri charm catches, and oh, just barely misses the charm there onto. Actually, do get that that ward as well, but misses the charm onto this beautiful Janna here. As we see the spear chunking out about half of Kale's life, and the Viger actually taking a shot to the face from that Anivia, going to be able, so many wards here, my goodness, not even going to be able to clear out that last ward. But in the meantime, they will be pushing up this middle lane. Gonna throw down a sweeper just to clear it out for good measure here, and throw the spooky ghost out to make sure they've got some vision coverage here. But it looks like largely this jungle is actually owned by the blue side now. There's a lot of wards coming out from the red side to keep being able to contest it as they are, to keep those kills even, to keep this pressure up. Kassadin forced to rift walk away, but here comes Viger with the Jinx ultimate. Not going to be enough. Going to be able to pop the Talisman of Ascension and get people out of there. But that will be the Jinx ultimate. For essentially nothing, just a Talisman of Ascension, so it's minor advantage here. The cooldown on that ultimate is not super high, so it will probably be up in the next time she needs it, but we'll see if they are a pretty aggressive team here for this blue side. If they continue that, we'll see whether or not that Jinx ultimate is actually going to come into play, or the lack thereof, I should say. Actually, going to spot out this ward as soon as it's placed is this Nidalee. Good invasion into the jungle, always smiting onto those razor beaks, always using that passive sensing of the wards as much as she can to keep an eye on this jungle, keep trying to deny that vision as much as possible so they can set up for the picks. Actually, going to pop the Talisman of Ascension, but behind is the flanking Kale, who's just with the flash going to be able to finish him off. Nidalee, who's busy, a little distracted by the razor beaks there, not able to throw out the spear and hop into the action. So that will be a free kill. Anivia going to have to back off here though. Ooh, just going to miss the spear there is Nidalee. But yeah, with that, that will be another kill going over to this red side. Definitely needed kills. Again, they are still behind in gold by about 6k right now. A very significant gold deficit here. Largely, again, from the CS advantage, which continues to grow, at least for the bottom lane. Only 2 CS short of 100 CS lead in the bottom lane. That Kalista gonna continue to be an absolute monster, while Jinx gonna take even longer to scale up into that late game she really needs. So definitely not what you want to see for the red side here. That is the majority of the gold deficit. Of course, the global gold from those turrets helping out as well. But yeah, especially when you're the team that has less dragons, you gotta hope that you're able to at least get some extra pressure on those creep waves. Try and get those waves working in your favor here, creating opportunities to out-rotate the enemy team here. Viger a little bit too far forward, going to be forced to flash there, but with Nidalee in tow, he will be okay. She'll be able to heal him right on up. But that will be the Viger flash down, so that will not be any Viger flash engages here, reminiscent of the infamous Annie engage to start things off. So he's going to be a little bit more vulnerable, and here's that vulnerability coming into play. Gonna go down with that Renekton and Anivia. Great wall placement by that Anivia again. very nice to see expert play on a champion we don't frequently see these days. In that Anivia, who is 4-0-1 right now with that fully stacked. I believe that's a fully stacked rod. It is, but hold that thought here as the Cassidon bitten off a little bit more than he can chew. Actually, it's Callista jumping forward, going to pop the Dominus to make sure he doesn't die to those Ren stacks. Is Renekton, so forcing the ultimate there, but overall, good trades back and forth as they start to fight here around this Dragon Pit to try and get the control of this vision. Having to fight for vision within their own jungle is this red side, as we do see that Crab is timing out. Oh, but actually, let's jump back here very quickly to see Kale. This is going to be very critical here, as Kale is the one with the smite here. Looks like she was actually trying to go back in vision, and Ahri, no, gonna just land a beautiful charm onto her. Oh, that is just painful to watch. Just predicting the movements too well. Kale trying to go a little bit of a different path, hug the wall a little bit more, but actually predicting that is this Ahri who's gonna be able to pick up the kill onto Kale. And that will mean their jungler is down for what is another 15 seconds, and the dragon is live. Cassidon going to be chased out of that bush a little bit. Taking a little bit of extra time here. Actually going to be forced to zone as is Cassidon, who's going to be able to rift walk out of that danger zone. But going to keep coming back in, actually. Getting a little bit too aggressive. But in the meantime, that will be Callista able to take out the dragon here. Clearing up that upgraded Scrying Orb ward. On the retreat here, as they did get their 4th dragon. Now, again, critically, that is the 4th dragon for this blue side. We are entering the danger zone right now. Any dragons that come after that 4th dragon are going to be absolutely devastating for this red side. As we see the global gold continuing to extend, as Cassidon now starting to press that CS advantage as well. Overall, the lanes have really kept up with one another from the last time we spoke about this, but Cassidon has been starting to run away. So it looks like the blue side always managing to keep people even, but then one player is able to just start to edge out the CS advantage. Right now, it looks to be like her Renekton's going to be the one falling a little bit more behind. Kale actually able to walk for more than a couple seconds without running into an immediate ward inside of her jungle. Not going to pop the Banshee's Veil. Is Nidalee there? Not even going to waste that. But Spear rushing in is Ahri going to be able to force the egg. How much damage will they have, though? That's not a very untanky Anivia. She does have the completed rod, but that will be Anivia going down in that passive egg. Good Ren there. Actually, not going to be enough to finish her off, though. But in that passive, she's not able to use the active of this Seraph's Embrace. Just chasing her. Gonna be able to chase her with the mobility. Insane is Callista. Gonna use the heal just to make sure she gets out of here. Sorry, people, but we gotta watch that one more time. Callista using the jump on the minions to outpace Jinx. Now remember, they do have the same tier boots. They do move. Actually, Jinx moving a little bit faster with that Zeal, as this Youmuu's was not popped. So she didn't have the extra move speed. That was just raw kite like hopping, able to get her that kill. And in the meantime, this is a middle lane inhibitor going down after Kale is killed as well. And with the base crack now, that global gold lead and 2 inhibitors going down, this is probably going to be the game going over to this blue side here, despite that deceptively close kill score. Jinx actually going to throw out the ultimate, not realizing that this dragon is already gone. Only going to hit the Nidalee here. Distract her for just a moment. Actually going to be forced to cancel that recall again as Janna being a pest there. Good play, of course, from Janna, continuing to just harass out that ADC as much as she can. But, I mean, barring some huge swing back. I mean, 12.5K lead right now in gold, going over to this blue side here. Absolutely monstrous CS advantage. Cassidy, 100 gold in the lead. Callista, more than 100 gold in the lead. Every lane having the CS advantage, aside from the support, which is insignificant. As a support main, I have the right to say that. But yeah, of course, the items that's translated into, I mean, despite being a largely AP team, Callista has been able to get some kills onto her name there as well, so she will be a threat. And with that, Runon's Hurricane coming out, that is everybody having to worry about the AD threat. So not able to just focus on building MR to try and counter that Cassidy, who's not particularly fed, just farmed up very well. As this Baron is actually going to be started off in vision. Ahri actually gonna miss the wall there. First time this game we've seen Anivia miss that wall. Callista might actually go down here. No, gonna get the last hit. Is that Viger here? I'm not sure if that was the Q, but that would be, always feels good to Q farm global objective like that. Actually 1v1ing here is Kale, who's gonna pop the ultimate and have to run through the base gate here. No, actually gonna follow him with that Q, but Nidalee lurking around, gonna discourage any chasing there. Kale perhaps could have flashed, but that would have been a little bit too thirsty, as we see this Viger and Ahri able, with the Baron buff, to split push here and take out that last remaining inner turret. And actually charmed out is this Anivia, who's gonna pop the shield a little bit early on herself. Doesn't block out anything but a little bit of passive ignite damage. Anivia solo right now. Her egg is up right now, so if she does get focused down, she will not die. Actually, no, the egg was down, excuse me. And that will be a double kill going over to this Ahri. And that will be the final inhibitor going down. And with that tremendous gold lead, actually gonna catch the Renekton too. Renekton forced to slice away. Gonna walk back in and take it. Almost all of his health for the trouble there, but that's gonna be the game here as we see the Callista walking into that base, styling and profiling. So great game here from both sides, but unfortunately that CS advantage was the story of the game, as the gold leads were not really largely determined by the kills. And it turned out just to be a turret advantage that spiraled absolutely out of control. Only 2 turrets still going over to this red side by the end of the game. Absolutely being shut out of taking those global objectives, denying that global goal. The only objective that this red side was able to get through that entire game was their dragon. Very nice to have that first dragon, of course, but you gotta have more than that if you're gonna want to not fall into such a huge deficit. Again, looking around overall, it was that Kale who was caught out a couple of times. Actually opted to go for the Blade of the Rune King. A little bit of an unusual build here with the Devourer upgrade. Still always want to call that what it used to be. But so a little bit of an unusual build path for Kale here, going AD for the most part. Could have been what caused the difference here, trying out something a little bit different here. Bringing that lifesteal in, trying to combo it with the Devourer upgrade, but it just did not work out this game. Again, that largely probably was determined by that first kill we saw onto Kale by the Ahri, who was able to just outright blow Kale up and get that blue buff onto her lane, which then made this Anivia, who largely stood out. Almost the most damage dealt on the entire team was Anivia. It really put that Anivia behind, who was able to show up really strong in this game despite having that bad start against this monster of an Ahri, who really just ran away with this game. But overall, that is the entire game. Again, that is going over to on the red side, to this red team here, who was Google AdWords. AdWords, excuse me. So that will be the game. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the game. If you, of course, want to watch any more of these games, they will be available at After Hours Gaming's website, or the After Hours Gaming League website, which is displayed on your screen right here. So please give them a check out if you enjoyed the game today. All the schedules for the upcoming matches will be posted there. These games will be uploaded to that site. And of course, you can stay tuned to my YouTube channel. I will be uploading all the games I cast to this YouTube channel and now officially live streaming them. So a special shout out to all of our live streamers who hung out with me through this game. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you guys at the next game. Alright, and that is the wrapping up of the recording. So thank you again to the people who watched the live stream. I hope you guys did enjoy that. I see not too much was said. Hopefully you guys were so encapsulated by the game itself that you didn't have too much to say in that chat. But hopefully you did enjoy that. Again, that was Google AdWords taking the win over Microsoft One. A very contentious game here in some of the upper tiers of this league. So, little spicy, especially with those picks coming out. I'm interested to see in some of the coming weeks if we might see that Viger banned out. Viger actually, without even Q farming that much, was able to be used very effectively. He landed a lot of those stuns on some key areas to really zone out people and get good catches for his team, despite having only one sort of clunkier option available for his CC. And similarly for the red side, we're probably going to be seeing some Anivia bans against them in the future. And I believe, now that I pause for a moment, I totally screwed that up. For anybody who's still watching the stream, you might have realized that I totally said the wrong thing there. Just to make sure I'm not insane. Yeah, no, it was the blue side who won. Oh my god, what have I done? Absolute insanity here. The chaos caused by this game. I was just so appreciative of that Anivia play that I did not realize that it was actually not Google AdWords. They were the red side that did end up losing the game. The winners of the game was Microsoft One on the blue side. Somehow in my head I got it mixed up that the south side of the map was the red side. So I will be clarifying that in the notes for this upload. Whoopsie daisy. Hopefully I didn't freak out too many of you watching that who got a little confused there. But yes, that is the correct winner of the match is Microsoft One. So without any further ado, before I say anything else that's wrong, I'm going to wrap this puppy on up. I'm going to throw myself onto mute here. The next game will be coming out in just 40 minutes. If you do want to stay tuned and watch the next game will be between Microsoft Deconstructors and Amazambonis. Will be the two teams facing off here in just 40 minutes. So if you would like to stay tuned to this stream, please feel free to do so. And in the meantime, I will be trying to get this uploaded to YouTube, and I will see you guys then. Thanks for tuning in. Hello, everyone, and welcome to, at least for me, Quick Chronic War Catalyst here. I am the caster that this live stream is for, of course, but this will be my last game for casting now, or watching now, in addition to myself. I believe that is, in fact, a record for my channel. Ooh, fancy. Momentarily, between Microsoft Deconstructors and Amazambonis, starting momentarily, just a bit longer as we get everybody loaded into the lobby real quickly here and ready to start up. But give us another few minutes here. The match is scheduled to start in 8 minutes specifically, so here's the action. Again, we have approximately this Amazambonis or Amazambonis. I'm going to say that wrong so many times. Versus Microsoft Deconstruct here, and get everybody in the lobby so we can start the pick bands. quick update one more time. We are just waiting on one more person. We have everybody else here ready, but as soon as we get that last person in here, I will introduce you guys to the teams and what's going on here on the live stream. That way we're not just sitting hanging out waiting for the actual recording to start. I will give you guys a little preview of what's to come. But I'll be back, should be here any moment now. So finish up whatever it is you're all doing and prepare yourself for the carnage. Alright everyone, welcome. We are going to be doing the Pickman in chat here, so in here as we do get that nice slow fade out. And then, oh my god, the client. We're going to get the pick band started up here in just a moment. Just a moment. But it looks like we're actually going to have a pretty even game here today. So hopefully it will be a little bit more even than our last game, which did start to spiral out of control once it hit the mid-game. So hopefully we'll get a little bit more of a spicy game into the late game here. Would you see the first band coming out for this blue side, which is Microsoft Deconstructors on the blue side versus Amazambonis on the red side here. So we do see that first band is going to be the Vayne. Let me see who is actually their ADC this game. Yeah, so that's actually a pretty good ban as far as what I can see. Banned out against TC Madbro. He does like the Vayne, so banning that against him, pretty good choice there, of course. You see Sivir banned out to the frowns of many as the second ban here. But yeah, so that is of course a ban going out against what is his name here? Invinciblade. Yes, just want to make sure I had that wrote down correctly. So doing a little target ban back and forth, sniping each other's AD carries a bit. Talk more about that a little bit later once we actually are in the recording here, because that is pretty interesting. We do have third ban here coming out for the Microsoft side is going to be Xerath. A good all-around ban, pretty strong. It is with, let's see who's actually on the team today. I'm not sure how targeted that is. Looking over my notes here. I mean, it's certainly played by people on this team, but I'm not sure that the person that plays that a lot is actually on the team today, so I'm not sure if that's a target ban or just a general ban. Xerath is to be respected, though, so certainly a good general ban as well. Second ban for the blue side coming out is going to be... Oh, I'm looking at the wrong notes here. That explains it. Alright, here we go. Xerath. I actually still don't see Xerath. All that, and I still don't see Xerath, and I stand by what I said. Anyways, second ban for the blue side that came out is going to be Fiddlesticks. That is a pet pick here for Neroguk. That's how I'm going to say that. So that definitely is a targeted ban. Final ban for the blue side coming out for this Microsoft Deconstructors team is Morgana. Morgana feels like an all-around pick again. Let me just triple check my notes here. It is something that TC Madbro does break out when he goes support. But if they're going to be banning out his Vayne, perhaps the thinking was they might have been forcing him into the support role by banning out that Morgana to make sure he doesn't have his Morgana as well. So a lot of respect being paid here to TC Madbro. Very, very kind. The final ban for the red side is going to be that Vi. So banning out the Vi and Fiddlesticks, really focusing hard on Neroguk. Yeah, those are definitely two targeted bans at him, so we'll see what kind of jungle pool he has left open. I mean, especially since it seems like they're going to be picking up the J4 here for the red side as their first of two picks, which they will need to indicate the second one here momentarily. But yeah, so by banning out his Fiddle and Vi, and then first picking, or I suppose second picking the J4, they will be really tapping out that jungle pool to see what he's going to pull out. My guess would probably be actually something I should keep to myself until the pick ban is over officially. But I think there's still some pocket picks that can come out. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see what he goes with, though. Most importantly, though, that first pick, Jinx, going over to Microsoft Deconstructors, that actually was a pick that both of these sides were looking to pick up for sure. So being able to first pick that away is going to be huge for this bottom lane, as that is the main comfort champion that is left for both of these sides. Seeing the Janna pick up as well, I'm going to assume that TC Madbro is not actually going to be on that Janna. That will be going over to one of his other teammates here, and he will be actually sticking to that AD carry role this game, despite having that Vayne banned out against him. There it is. We do have Sona and Amumu coming out. That's actually exactly who I was going to say, that Amumu was going to be coming out in the jungle here. It seemed like the most likely choice with that Vian Fiddlesticks gone. It seems like the most comfort champion that's available to him. And if you're not just going to go for a strong overall pick right now in the current patch, which would be obviously J4, yeah, Mumu certainly would be very solid. And interestingly, when you pick Sona with a Mumu, oh my gosh, the hard CC that brings. If you can actually combo those ults together effectively in the late game, that's going to be a monster to deal with. And especially, I mean, that'll give Jinx time to just wail away on people. And it's not like Jinx... Mumu and Sona tickle. Especially depending on what build you go with the Mumu. He can do quite a lot of damage with that ultimate. So Jinx actually might just be able to straight up chain their ultimates together with Sona and Amumu and just wipe out people. So that'll be interesting to see just how insane the Wombos get here. Looks like Kate and Garen are the next two picks coming out for this red side. Definitely Garen gonna be in the top lane here, going over to Knight 26. Definitely his comfort pick as far as top lane champions are concerned. The Caitlyn as well. Not particularly one that I have seen as a pick that's been going around here on this red side team here for Amazambonis. But there it is, Caitlyn. Certainly strong in lane, especially able to snipe people. If you're going to want to use that Caitlyn effectively, you're going to have to be way back and way safe. Well, if you're going to want to use your ADC effectively, I should say, against a team like this that has Sona, that has Amumu, you're going to want to stay pretty far back. And I mean, even with the Janna disengage, that engage from this blue side is going to be such hard engage that even Janna might not really be able to stop it. So definitely going to want somebody that has a lot of range, can play far back and be safe at all points in the game. Caitlyn, infamously, of course, has a lot of range. Can use that ultimate to snipe people out after she survives the overall fight and people are starting to disengage. She can try and get picks here and there with that ultimate if there's not a quick enough reaction from the enemy team to body block. Then we see the last two picks coming out for this blue side are going to be Lux and Pantheon. So, interesting here. It looks like it's going to be Pantheon in the top lane. Don't put it past this blue team to actually send that Amumu in the top lane, though, and do something a little bit more wild, because Pantheon is definitely a jungler that is familiar to Nerguk, I shall say. But it's certainly much more likely to be in the top lane here because that is a comfort pick there as well. But we are going to start up the broadcast here right now, the actual recording as we get in game. So if you'll excuse me while I reintroduce our teams and go over all this again, let's get it rolling. Hello everyone and welcome to the After Hours Gaming League. I am your host for the match, Crick Chronic War Catalyst here. We do have a very interesting game coming out between, on the blue side, Microsoft Deconstructors, and on the red side, Amazambonis. Amazambonis, of course, from the Amazon website. Site that gets you everything you actually want to buy. Oh, it seems like we actually lost it. Alright, well, let's stop that recording. Try this again here. Hello everyone and welcome to the After Hours Gaming League. I am your host for the match, Crick Chronic War Catalyst here. And those are not actually all the bands that we had in the lobby. We did remake the game very quickly just to make sure that we had, or we did do the pick ban, in the lobby, so we can actually get all these champions on the people they want, because unfortunately we don't own all the champions. But before I get into those details, let me introduce our two teams here. On the blue side, we have Microsoft Deconstructors, of course, Microsoft, the company that made this lovely OS I'm running right now. And they are playing for the charity Math Counts. That is a charity that helps engage middle school students of all ability and interest levels in fun and challenging math programs by bringing extracurricular opportunities to students, and also in addition to just doing extracurricular things for the students, they also try and bring free high quality resources to the teachers themselves, to educators, to make sure that math can be taught in the way that people can enjoy it. As somebody who enjoys math quite a bit myself, I can appreciate that charity, and I think that getting people to not be afraid of math or hate math is a very worthy goal, so great charity there. And on the red side, we do have the team Amazambonis. That is, of course, an Amazon team here, Amazon, the website that helped me get this beautiful microphone you're hearing me through right now. They are playing for the charity Child's Play. Child's Play is a charity that brings children in hospitals and domestic abuse centers the joy of gaming. You know, it tries to help them recapture that spark of childhood where you can actually relax and enjoy yourself, and you can actually try and be a kid. And if you're in a domestic abuse center or just in the hospital even, you've probably gone through something fairly traumatic, and that charity works to try and bring those kids back to that state of childhood, to where they can really relax and enjoy things and get the most out of their childhood while they have it. So the magic of gaming is something we're all familiar with, and a great charity trying to bring that out to them. So let's actually get into the game here, as we do have the picks for these teams. Again, these bands are different because scumbag teams are scumbag teams and not doing the same band, so I can talk about it in the actual recording. Bang bang, shots fired. But there were, I am just a little bit disappointed because I did want to talk about some of those bands. For those of you who watched the stream, the live stream, I did explain some of those bands earlier on. I'm going to do my best to try and remember what those bands were, because there was a lot of targeted bands going back and forth. Benefits of watching the live stream. Anyone who's watching the recorded version of this, definitely check that out, so you can get the full commentary on all the picked bands. But overall here, the main two bands that I did want to comment was there was a first ban on the blue side for Vayne, which was a targeted ban, and then they replied with a targeted ban of their own against the ADC by taking away Sivir. So the red side took away Sivir. So very interesting back and forth of the bans. The other two bans that did come out from the red side were all target bans at the jungler for this blue team. They were Vi and Fiddlesticks trying to hit that champ pool pretty hard. But from what I've seen, Amumu is certainly a champion that the blue side's jungler is familiar on. So we will definitely be seeing some expert Amumu play, I believe, coming out this game. Overall, we do have pretty normal summoners coming out here. Pantheon in the top lane actually opting to go for that Ignite as opposed to Garen taking the more traditional top lane teleport. Going to be looking for some early kill pressure with that. Pantheon definitely can trade, especially with someone who's all about auto attacks as Garen is. He's going to be blocking out quite a bit of damage there with his passive and should be able to trade very effectively early on. So look for a bloody top lane with a Pantheon that's incentivized to trade here by that summoner spell choice. But perhaps the most importantly thing I want to say about this matchup is going to be the Wombo combo potential here coming out from the blue team. Taking away the Pantheon ultimate for a moment, which is always just a nice little extra sugar on top of any Wombo combo. If you get either a Lux Snare or an Amumu Bandage into a good Amumu ultimate, it's over. It's going to be over. This blue team's going to be able to annihilate you. If any of those things can hit multiple people, even the Lux Q, if that can snare 2 people, that's going to allow follow-up to happen because Keely, all of the engage, the really hard CC lockdown that the blue side has at their disposal, the Sona ultimate, the Amumu ultimate, those are going to be really strong follow-up engage. So all they need is one good thing to start off an engagement in their favor, and then it's going to be like a CC chain nightmare coming out of the blue side here. And especially with the Lux ultimate, with the Jinx ultimate, they're going to be able to put in a lot of damage onto people who are CC'd in a very still state, if not just outright rooted, which is probably what's going to be the case here. There's a little bit of slow potential coming out, but for the most part, it's going to be just really hard CC. So what we're going to have to see from the red side is not necessarily grouping together, but trying to have a more staggered stance themselves when they're going to try and set up for these team fights that will be coming out here. We're going to have to see them a bit more staggered apart than the normal setup, because if they get a little bit too close together, that AoE CC is going to just become a nightmare for them to deal with. So they're going to probably have to really get Garen way in the face of the blue side, so he will at least dodge out some CC there, as we actually see an invade here from the Tribush. Amumu being spotted out here by the Garen. Garen thinking he's just going to chase him away, but this actually could be a first blood here. There's actually no CC leveled for this team here. Unfortunately, yeah, Tantrum being taken first by Amumu here probably got that leveled in base. Unfortunately, I mean, that's why if you're going to try some sort of invade like this, you definitely don't level up your abilities until you know that the invade has ended and you weren't able to catch someone. If Lux could have had her Q leveled up, or Amumu could have had his Q leveled up for either the Lux binding or the Amumu bandage, that definitely would have been first blood over to this blue team. So unfortunately, a missed opportunity for them there. But overall, it looks like we're going to have normal starts after that. Filthy little dirtying possible first blood opportunity tease that we had there. Overall, we're going to have normal starts here. Items coming out are normal for both sides. Janna opting to go with the coin instead of the Spell Thief's Edge. A little bit more of a passive lane there. Not quite as aggressive, which probably is the best decision. Of course, Sona is going to be able to once she hits level 2, out-sustain you for sure, if you're a Janna. But also that poke that she brings is filthy Sona poke. So lots of damage there, and she's going to be able to bring some noise here. So making her step forward like that to get the poke is one of the benefits of going coin. As we see Garen taking a lot of damage here. He did start Cloth 5 though, so he'll probably be able to sustain through this with his passive and all those health pots. But yeah, as long as they're making Sona step forward to try and get that harassment in, one of these times Sona's going to be stepping a little bit too far forward, and then she might take a lot of damage back. And the key with Sona is not necessarily trying to have a lot of really good effective trades with her, because she's just going to sustain right on up. It's going to be trying to burst her down largely in just one trade. Actually, we see Lissandra taking the claw here, going very aggressive. Getting that turret shot actually is going to make it so she doesn't trade very effectively there. Going to be a fairly even trade overall in the mid lane. And Garen getting aggressive in the top lane himself as he's chugging those health pots, trying to actually bait some minion damage out of the minions in the top lane to get Pantheon a little bit low to make that trade a little bit more even, as Pantheon is now out of any sustain options. But Lissandra actually perfectly taking the claw outside of range of the turret this time. Still doesn't necessarily have the best trade. She's actually going to be forced off here, going to have to farm from afar now and try and avoid any of that Lux damage. Luckily for her, Lux is running low on mana. She does have that Doran's Ring start, so that will be some mana coming back, but I'm not sure it will be enough here. As we see all the buffs now being cleaned up here by Amumu. The last of the buffs going down, so we're going to start to see some ganking action, and there exactly is what I'm talking about. Sona is quite low right now, so what we need to see is this red side bottom lane get very aggressive right now, even with that passive charged up for Sona. We definitely need to see them start getting in her face, because now is the time to trade with her. And actually Lissandra taking quite a bit of damage there, going to be able to just walk away from that, but very low now. Did have the J4 in tow, but unfortunately he was not able to make anything happen there. And Garen taking quite a bit of damage here. He's going to have to chug through those health pots as we see him begin to do so. He's going to have to keep those chugging away if he wants to hang out in this lane and try and keep CSing one for one with this Pantheon. But with the combo CC, will that ignite be enough? Actually, we see first blood in the mid lane. Garen does go down. We will replay that to see what happened there, but it looks like Sona's actually going to be able to make it out just barely here in the bottom lane. Let's actually recap to see what happened in this mid lane for the solo kill. First blood on this Lux here. Is it going to be just stepping a little bit too far forward and being able to catch a binding? Oh, we're seeing this go around. No, we actually... Yes, actually, she was just a little bit too far forward, and with the passive as well, with the light mark on her, that will be first blood going over to Lux, but also immediately followed up by that kill on the top lane. And unfortunately for the red side, that answer kill of the Sona in the bottom lane, she gets out with just a sliver of health. It was very close there. I did not see the exact number there, but it was she was quite low, probably within 30 hit points overall. And that is certainly hard to do on a Sona. We might see, actually, no, they're just going to recall. Think better of that there. And not try and go in on the Garen here. But yeah, so overall that is 2 kills unanswered to this blue side here because of some, I don't want to say lucky, but some really good plays here from the bottom lane here. With that Jinx and Sona able to just barely get out of here. It did take all the summoners except for that exhaust to do so though, so they're going to have to play a little bit more careful in this bottom lane, and we can see that reflected here by this Caitlyn and Jen, who are getting a little bit more aggressive now. But they do not have the ward coverage, so we see a little bit of hesitation coming out as they do spot out a Mumu with that pink ward. But after they do lose vision of him clearing this pink ward, they're going to be largely in the dark. Again, taking a look at the map, we do see absolute darkness for this bottom lane, so they're going to feel very uncomfortable. Mumu actually going to the middle lane here, trying to get a snowball going. Actually going to just throw down a pink ward for some vision in the jungle and think better of it. But now this has been warded. There is a ward thrown out in the bottom lane just in time. So Mumu is going to actually be spotted out here. But he's still able to catch the Caitlyn, who is just way too far forward. And as we see the camera thinking this is the more important lane. Oh, and it was the Lux ultimate as soon as she gets a little bit of distance. So much damage here. Let's actually jump back here as that Caitlyn did make it out with just a little bit of help. Let's watch this again. Lux did burn the flash and the heal just to make sure she was far enough away from that J4. Really smart play to use both of those summoners here to make sure she was far enough back towards her turret to discourage J4 from trying to dive in. And once she had done so, and J4 had decided against using that EQ combo to try and make sure that he can interrupt the channel from Lux. Well, there was nothing to interrupt the channel from Lux, and she was able to completely burst out that Lysandra. So now that is 2 kills on the Lux in the mid lane, which is resulting in quite an advantage. And after this Lux goes back after the dragon here, I believe we will see the items reflecting that. The Lux actually going to step a little bit forward. Actually does end up binding the J4, who's able to flag and drag away just as the binding expires to make sure that Jinx Zap does not hit him. And we see the beautiful art for this fantastic Firecracker Jinx skin. One of my favorites because Jinx is the best. Anyways, though, back to the action here. J4 is a little bit spotted out on his jungle route here. He's going to be picking up that second blue buff for himself here, feeling a little bit unsafe in the mid lane with that 2-kill advantage onto the Lux, who does now have an entire item, like halfway point item, lead onto this Lysandra with that forbidden idol completed. And she was also able to pick up a couple wards there, so she's going to be feeling a little bit safer in this mid lane. J4 gonna have to try and clean out some wards, but he is unfortunately unable to do so right now. And Pantheon actually going for some trades with Garen. Garen does now have a little bit better defensive stats. Oh, and the duo kill! Oh my goodness! Let's one more time jump back. I usually don't jump back this frequently, but an insane duo kill. Pantheon able to just get that last spear going out right as Garen ulted him to death. So a duo kill in the top lane. Very, very fun play there. It did cost Pantheon his ignite, whereas Garen did not have to burn any summoners for that. So that does not bode well for what the trades will be like in the future when those summoners are actually traded equally here. If Garen can manage to set up a situation where they will have equal summoners again, or perhaps a summoner spell advantage now that that ignite will be down. But we see Lysandra looking to make a play here, but actually going to have to claw away, taking a lot of damage. Oh, but the Sona ultimate does miss, and she flashes afterwards to do largely nothing except put a Q out. But then the ultimate from... Oh, the ultimate from Lux does not miss. The ultimate from Jinx does not miss. And that's exactly what I'm talking about earlier. Even with the ultimate from Sona missing, to miss that initial CC... Just the Lux Q, just the Lux CC was plenty of CC to create those chain ultimates and get 2 kills going over to this blue siding. J4 coming in, forcing that flash out of Jinx, a good cataclysm there. But unfortunately not able to answer a kill, and all of a sudden this game has erupted into a 6-1 lead in favor of the blue side here, as we see Pantheon getting aggressive again. Trying to trade with this Garen. Make use of that passive as much as possible. He does have a Brutalizer and some lifesteal here from the Vamp Scepter already finished. So he will be able to try and play a little bit of a sustain game with this Garen, though. that typically is not effective to play with Garen with his passive, but he's going to jump on back and think about teleporting to this top lane here. Once he has some time to heal on up, purchase up that Giant's Belt. And we do see he's going to have a little bit of a delayed teleport back, but he does not want to miss some of that CS, so he will be coming back and getting aggressive onto that Pantheon. In the middle lane, ooh, Lux actually missing the snare there. Overall, in the top lane, this Pantheon has created a lot of pressure, and it's showing not just in that kill advantage, but also in that CS lead. It's now extended to about 15 minions in the lead in favor of Pantheon. But perhaps more importantly is that Lissandra, who has fallen very far behind, not just in kills, but also in CS as well, about 20 CS behind. But then the Wombo combo CC chain absolutely annihilating Lissandra. And every time that Lux cooldown, which is like criminally short, comes up, she's going to be using that Q. She's going to be using that ultimate, and if Mumu can provide a little bit of CC to make sure she lands that Q to start it off, well then that's what's going to be happening every time from now on. That's going to result in a kill for this Lux, who will start to become a monster now with those 3 kills. We can see the Mia pings being called out from this red side here. Lux has just gone B, but the fear of that roaming Lux, who's already proven herself quite the roaming threat earlier this game when she showed up in that bottom lane and helped create that double kill. Or I should say those 2 kills. I believe they were split up amongst the champions, but Pantheon going to be stopped here. Garen being a little bit annoying, not actually even getting any damage down off of that, but will delay the recall here. We gotta just keep our eyes peeled. There's gonna be actually no, the Chompers are not going to land almost the CC, and again, even the Jinx has some lockdown CC to snare people, so Caitlyn just barely able to make it out of there. Good play by her, but one has to wonder how much longer she can continue to make those plays, and the Lissandra Claw was down mid, but J4 looking to follow that up, not going to be able to find anything, and the Mumu still looking to follow that up in the bottom lane, but it looks like they'll be able to get away as J4 rotates down to this bottom lane and try and make something happen down here. And we do see the Flag Drag actually misses, hits no one. Speaking all about this CC, and red side actually missing their critical CC. I'm not sure how much it would have resulted in something, but definitely not giving that extra time for the Caitlyn to wail away is going to make them think twice about taking this engagement here, especially with that Amumu still lurking about. J4 is in the unwarded jungle, and he will land the Flag and Drag this time, but immediately get followed up and engaged on, and that is going to be the combo CC coming out with the Mumu ultimate finishing off J4. Sona just saving her own life barely there with her own ultimate. Going to make it out of there alive, and that will be yet another kill going over to this blue side here in what looks to become an absolute snowball of a game, an 8-1 lead right now. Overall, there is no CS lead either to fall back on for this red side, so right now it's not too absolutely devastating of a lead. Hold on there, wait, and oh, actually great flash there from Lissandra, hanging out just for a second to bait it out, and she actually dodges the Q, but she will eventually go down, and actually that will be an extra assist going over for her skills of dodging out that Q from Sona. So while great plays by that Lissandra there, dodging the Lux ultimate, dodging the Sona Q, it just was not enough. There was just too much catch potential on this blue team to be allowed to exist. Caitlyn actually flashing and healing over. Let's try and get a view back down there. There's unfortunately no vision coming out for this Caitlyn, so not going to be able to use her ultimate to finish anybody off here. You see Garen is ignited, and the ultimate, no, not going to be enough. 10 hit points. single-digit hit points coming out for this Pantheon, who's actually going to hang around and just go through some health pots here. The guts on this Pantheon to try and trade, but no, Garen is able to get the spin off. If only Pantheon had stunned him just a second sooner, he wouldn't have been able to get that, and Pantheon might have been able to get the kill there. But Garen was able to start the spin to win right before Pantheon was able to stun him. So Pantheon essentially jumping to his death there, jumping into the Garen spin. Going to cost him his life there. So another kill going over to this blue side. And again, like I was saying earlier, overall the gold does not seem like it's out of control here. But in this season, the gold leads are deceptively low for what we're used to. So this actual 2.5K lead right now, now nearly, actually that shrunk up a little bit with that turret control, with Garen taking that objective off of that kill he just got onto Pantheon. That might be the saving grace here, some of that global gold coming in to try and even up that gold lead. But again, actually, hold that thought as we do see J4 landing the Flagging Drag and the Cataclysm. He is within auto range to continue to auto Lux, but she doesn't care. She channels in his face and gets a double kill onto Lissandra in the background as well. Lissandra not able to get her ultimate onto the Lux to stop her before she can start getting that ultimate coming out. And that will be a double kill onto what is now an unstoppable Lux. Actually, gonna be cleaned up here in the bottom lane too. Great ultimate from Sona. Janna almost saving, as we do see Dragon taken as well. So much action going on right now. Janna throwing out her ultimate just to try and give Caitlyn a little bit more sustain, a little bit more survivability, forcing the flash here. But it's Garen. How long can you run from Garen? Oh, actually going to think better of it is Garen running a little bit too deep past the minion line and did not have his ultimate up. So, going to give up that chase there. As we do see the turrets now evened up with that bot lane turret. But again, great play by the Janna there to try and use her ultimate to heal Caitlyn out of the range to die. But unfortunately, it was just one tick too slow. So that will not be enough to save her life, and she will end up going down. But again, now looking at the score, 12-2. There's not much to say about this game aside from that score line. Of course, we do have Garen trying to do what he can here in this jungle. Actually going to chase Pantheon away, forcing Amumu to take a lot of damage from that blue buff, and he does have the ultimate up now, so as soon as Pantheon is in range, he will instantly ultimate him and get that kill. And trading very effectively with this Amumu. I'm not sure who's tankier. In a 1v1 it would have been interesting, but this is not a 1v1 game. And another participation in a kill going over to Lux here, who is, again, an absolute nightmare. 5-0-4. Lux is by far the person you have to worry about in this game. Look for Lissandra to be locking her down every opportunity she gets, but even if you do, hold that thought. J4 missing the Flagging Drag, but does throw out the Cataclysm. The ultimate does come out from this Caitlyn Lissandra ultimate on a squishy Sona, but even with all of that, there is nothing that comes out of this for the red side. Only a death of J4. All of that engage, all of those abilities dumped into the fight there, and that is a 1-0 in favor of the blue side. And now diving to the double kill Soda. Let's watch that one more time here. As we see absolutely destroyed, we see the Pantheon ultimate start to come in. Sona, knowing it's going to come in, is going to flash ultimate and just barely on the edge catch the Janna as well. So that will be with the final Q shot finishing them off. That will be a double kill onto Sona. And now, what do you do in a game when you are in this situation? There's not really much to be done here. All you can do is really turtle as hard as you can, and hopefully, if you can outlast the team, defend your turrets, and just hang out as long as possible, letting the CS come to you, leaving those global objectives. As far as Dragon and Baron are concerned, just trying to leave those alone, sacrifice them for a little while, farm up, try and catch your CS up, that could be the way to get back into this. Really ward up your jungle, try and control your jungle here. As we look at the map, we do see some wards starting to come out now, but largely for this red side, it is almost entirely dark, whereas the blue side has the jungle lit up like a light bright here. Absolute vision on the map for this blue side. So they're going to be able to continue to get those picks, and that's absolutely what you have to deny if you're this red side here. You cannot allow any more picks to be coming out, and even being out here with that claw is very dangerous for Lissandra, because she could have very easily had an ultimate been available for her, had Pantheon been closer, available for the Sona, I should say. She could have been locked down and then missed the chance to take her claw out, and then she would have been stuck there. So, as we do see the Scuttle Crab going down here to the blue side, we got to start seeing a lot more careful play here. Perhaps Garen is the only one who can really afford to chance this out, as he is not behind in the build, as he does have 3 kills to his name as well. But overall, he still has to be a little careful, because everyone on this blue team has become an absolute nightmare. The only one perhaps showing here as a possible weak link could be the Pantheon, but he has not been offering any chances to be caught out. So as long as he remains playing, not necessarily conservatively, but playing safely, he'll be able to continue to hold this line, farm himself up, and make sure that he's alright, and just use his ultimate to sort of follow up engage on these teams. Actually, very good disengage from this whole team now. Janna does have that Talisman of Ascension built. That will be absolutely critical for this team, as they're going to need to reposition quite a bit, and as the team fight engagements begin, they're going to need to get absolute domination from the positional advantages they can have. Otherwise, they're just going to fail very hard in trades. You see Garen actually getting locked down by the Flame Chompers. Not enough follow-up, so you see blue team thinking better of it without the minion line there. A couple of turret shots being tanked here and there, but overall, not even worrying about it is this blue side. As they do have, again, if you try and focus down that monster Lux, you have a monster Jinx behind her. And even if you get both of them, oh my goodness, you gotta worry about the tank of Mumu who's 3-0-2. So it's gonna be absolutely destructive. Oh, we do see them all grouped up. There's that chain CC. It is on to Garen, not the best target, but Lux's ultimate does hit a number of people. There are no more minions here, so that will be the red side being able to disengage. Oh, the Lux Q just barely misses. That surely would have been an ultimate taking down J4 had it not been body blocked there, but especially had that Q landed, he would have definitely been going down. And a good tornado there from Janna to try and fend them off of this turret, but it looks like they're actually just going to step forward and have Amumu tank up some of those shots. Actually, Pantheon taken very low here, but it looks like they're not going to be able to get the Caitlyn ultimate out on him. Probably just would have been blocked, but would have been good to get that thrown out if they could have tried. Sona hanging around that Pantheon just on the off chance that something might be able to happen here. And Garen actually into the pit where the dragon is live. Gonna start off this dragon here. Caitlyn very low. Need to be careful of this team. This could be a chance to press an advantage. But actually both those wards are taken out. And J4 is actually going to go straight in here with the Cataclysm in after the Flagon Dragon. That will be Lux going down. That's what you need to do to start this off. Amumu is tanking some turret shots, but here comes Pantheon from behind, getting a little over-aggressive. Are this J4 and Garen, as Caitlyn goes down in the background to that Pantheon Amumu. Now Garen and J4 are caught out on the wrong side of the map. Pantheon actually going to flash forward to make sure he lands the stun onto the right target, that Lissandra, who does go down, but it looks like he'll be paying for it with his life as the return kill goes over to the red side, and now Amumu with no mana, no escapes, no hope of surviving. That is the shutdown. So critically, aside from the Jinx, So, all of the people who were going out of control did get killed there, so a lot of shutdown gold going over to this red side here, and with the dragon being claimed for them as well, as I do not think Sona will be able to contend with it. Neither will the Jinx. No, Jinx steals the dragon with her ultimate. We gotta watch that again. The smite was not up for this J4. So the Hail Mary ultimate gonna be coming out from Jinx. J4 tried to position to stop it, but that is enough damage to take it out. So the dragon actually not going over to the blue side, and that is the third dragon going over, that is the third dragon going over to the blue side, and the first dragon again denied from this red side. So the critical dragons have now been sealed for this blue team, and the critical dragons denied from this red team, and that is gonna be a very large nail in the coffin. It's certainly not an insurmountable lead right now, but I was just about to say, as they were taking that dragon, if they take the dragon here uncontested, this might be the way for the red side to get back into it. But just as I say that, the Hail Mary Jinx ultimate gonna turn that right around and stop, take whatever hope was starting to build for this red team and smash it into the ground. With some nice fiery rockets, those beautiful visual effects, bringing tears of pain to this red team. Gonna face check into this Pantheon, but not really care too much about it, as he does have quite a bit of health and armor now, so he should be able to fend off any Pantheon encounters he does meet. Pantheon, of course, does have a little bit of armor penetration built, but with that Warmogs, will be a lot of health to overcome here for the Pantheon. And actually, Sona coming around, trying to poke out what she can, keep that passive down on the Garen. Actually going to throw out her Queens, my brain, Frost Queens, to try and slow that Garen, but actually it does not land it on him. And Mumu hanging out patiently in this bush here, seeing if he can get a little bit more forward. If Caitlyn comes to try and contest something, he might be able to get something started in this bottom lane, where there is a Death Brush in the top lane, but they do have it pinged out. So we're going to look to this bottom lane where J4 does think that this is just Jinx, and they're actually going to be able to catch out that Caitlyn, and with that, that will be Caitlyn going down, though J4 able to burst down that Jinx right after. So good for the J4 there, actually able to get that damage he needed on the Jinx to make that a 1-for-1 trade. And Garen is left alone in this middle lane right now. He does have a minion wave coming with him, so he might be able to get this turret. And Mumu trying to stop it, as we do see this action in the top lane. Garen gonna just ignore this Mumu as much as possible, even throwing the Q down, but unfortunately he does draw the turret aggro from his Sunfire cape, so he will be forced away, and that is the top lane turret going down for this blue side here. J4 able to take out a turret, the outer turret in the bottom lane while all of this is happening, so the turret's not getting quite insane. Oh, the flash from Lissandra, just a second too late to prevent the stun, but we'll get her enough distance to not die from the damage. And with 4 members up here, that looks like Lux actually does land her ultimate onto Lissandra, though, from afar, so that will be Lissandra going down in a 1-for-1. Now a 1-for-2 with Pantheon dying to this red side as well, and Lux not going to be able to get away. Sona has the speed boost, so does Garen. What will happen here? No, with the Talisman Ascension pop, but the Frost Queen's claim answer, and the speed buff of her own, and the exhaust coming out, with those Moby boots kicking in right now. No, that will not be enough. Almost out of range of the Flag and Drag, but that will be Sona going down. So a very extended trade that does wind up going in this red side's favor. And again, as we see Garen teleporting over to this middle lane here to clean up that CS, is going to even up this game a little bit closer. Each time I feel like the game's starting to spiral out of control in favor of the blue team, the red side is able to make really important plays to continue to bring themselves back into this. So the gold lead overall right now actually getting caught in the flame chompers. Oh no, they walked right into it. And here comes the Nightmare Chain CC while taking turret shots. And the Jinx ultimate actually hits 4 people and does manage to execute the J4. Now Lissandra gonna ultimate herself to only delay the inevitable though, as she does go down. And that is a 2 for nothing. A 2 for getting confident there in their abilities to turn this around from that disadvantage. And they paid for it dearly here with what could result in a base turret going down here. This inhibitor turret's going to be taking quite a bit of damage. They do step forward to clear out the minions to try and delay this as long as possible. Everyone stepping forward for half a second to take some turret laser. Not really the best strategy there, but doing what they can to try and create the pressure while those death timers are up. And all 5 of them are here now, but all 5 of the red team has respawned and returned to this turret. And J4 actually going to flag and drag right in. Pantheon stepping forward, going to be taking a lot of damage from Garen. And Caitlyn just barely able to E out of the way. We got to watch for the Jinx ultimate is what this red side is thinking. Unfortunately for the blue side, that Jinx ultimate is down. So those 3 members taken oh so low are actually going to be able to walk away with their lives. And that is a successful defense of the inhibitor turret in the mid lane. But unfortunately for the red side, as you do see them pinging out on the map, they know that the dragon is up. The dragon has spawned. This will be the 4th dragon for the blue side, as red will not be able to get here in time to contest. And in fact, if they funnel in one at a time, they might give up some further kills here. No, great Cataclysm actually does catch out the Amumu, who will go down. Actually sniped out is Lissandra. They grouped too closely on the Amumu, especially the ranged Lissandra with the spell damage. Did not need to pile on that close. So that will be a kill, only resulting in a 1-for-1. All these trades, all these great engages only result in even trades for the blue side. And the snipe coming out will be enough damage for Lux. But again, J4 so far forward to try and create that play, ends up dying himself. So that is a 1-for-1 again. And now we see Jinx absolutely going insane with that attack speed. Gonna be able to solo out with the help from Sona that Caitlyn and Garen just so far forward in the enemy jungle, not able to get through all of this CC, and that will be him going down as well. Unfortunately, Janna not able to get close enough to get that tornado going out to save him in time. Oh, beautiful crit there onto those minions. That always feels nice as a Jinx. But yeah, absolutely destructive play here. And each time again, these last 2 team fights, the red side has just gotten a little headstrong, seeing how they've been able to turn this around and get favorable exchanges despite being so far behind. I think that got in their heads a little bit, and these last 2 exchanges might be what puts it away for the blue side here. The comeback might have just become a little bit out of reach, with 4 dragons to nothing in favor of the blue side, with now the Baron on the blue side with a 10k, nearly 10k lead in gold overall. You just gotta wonder, what can this blue side do to try and come back from this? Or excuse me, what can the red side do to try and come back from this? And we continue to see the engagements coming out from the red side, but absolutely, oh goodness, almost annihilated was Caitlyn. She was just barely able to sidestep the Lux ultimate there. Great awareness from Caitlyn to know to sidestep that as soon as she saw the tracker start to come out on the laser. But yeah, we gotta, I mean, trading just does not seem like it's the most effective strategy. With the Lissandra, with the J4, you do have a lot of pick potential. So as painful as it is to try and wait out a situation like this, the objectives are down. The objective situation can almost not get worse for this red side right now, as long as they can turtle and hold their inner turrets. But hold on, because that's the engagement, and that's the triple targeted Lux ultimate going to be taking out a Lysandra, and with that, this might mean the base is going down. J4 trying to fend people off. And Pantheon stepping a little bit too far forward, taking some damage. Actually caught in the Cataclysm, and gonna go down. Yes, no, just barely not going down. Double-digit hit points on that Lux, who did not end up dying. Good play from J4 to try and trap them within turret range in the Cataclysm, but unfortunately, just too far forward, could not even do that without giving up his life for free, and that is going to now result in 2 inhibitors down, the top and middle inhibitors going over to this blue side, and now the base has officially been cracked. And with Pantheon rotating down to that bottom lane, that will be the last inner turret going down as well. Though he does actually take the aggro, so he might be forced away here, and that might give Garen enough time to clear out that giant minion wave, which he will do and actually save that. And Mumu taking a lot of the jungle here before he goes B. Great counter jungling there to know he has those wards down, he has the vision he needs, and it is in fact safe to take as much of that jungle as possible, especially the very critical Razor Beaks, who will in effect be additional vision going over to this blue side, as Mumu was able to deny that from this red team here, so that vision control will continue to grow, as we do see the red side's jungle is largely dark, whereas the blue side has lit it up very strongly here. And with a minute until that dragon comes up, with the insane 5th dragon buff on the board, and 2 inhibitors down for the red side. Actually, Sona missing that ultimate there. Great E from Caitlyn to E out at an angle to make sure Sona misplaces that ultimate there. Fantastic play from the Caitlyn. And J4 actually going really aggressive here. They know if they wait, this is going to be a 5th dragon and it's going to be the game. So the only hope is to fight right now. J4 actually able to flag and drag away. Gonna keep his life for now. But that is the 3 of these blue team members chasing around. Actually, Lysandra is Lux. And that will be the Garen eventually going down. Great Zonia's there. Actually going to dodge out the ultimate is Lysandra, but it might not matter, as we see here in the Nexus turrets. A lot of damage coming out from just these minions. Oh, actually almost dead is J4, just barely able to make it out with his life. Gonna dive back in before he can heal though. Actually does get the kill on the Pantheon, but in the meantime that one Nexus turret has gone down. Jinx, the turret destroyer, annihilating them, taking out these minions, putting that damage, toggling it out, and that is the last Nexus turret going down. J4 fully healed up, diving in, trying to prevent any damage he can, and that will be the Lux, landing a beautiful ultimate to finish this out. That is a triple kill, a quadra kill right before the end of the game, going over to the Lux for the final ace that gets them the Nexus. A bloody game from both sides here. Really hard fought from the red team. Definitely had some moments of life in them when they nearly just came back. But unfortunately, just a couple of team fights towards the end there, getting a little bit over aggressive, gonna cost them the game here. And again, the story of the game is that 13-3-8 Lux, absolute monster this game. Did not even have her Zonias completed, and she was able to continue to blow people up that hard because she's so far ranged that, I mean, she didn't even need the Zonias to dodge out any damage. Lysandra needed to be getting in there, locking down that Lux, throwing down the Zonias herself, and allowing Lux to get blown up, but she simply didn't have the chance to. Every time we saw Lysandra go in, it ended up being too aggressive of a move, and she ended up paying for it with her life. And that is, as one of the primary engages for the team, why you see that Lysandra sitting at a 1-12-4, because she kept trying again and again to do her best to create the plays for her team, but she just was not able to. And as we look over at the total damage for the team, that Lux and that Jinx, with disgusting amount of damage dealt to champions, almost more than any 2 players on this red side team combined. absurd damage numbers. Even Sona beating out the jungler for this and devastating Lissandra, who again was just held down so hard in this game. She was absolutely made a non-factor by this blue team, which is exactly what you have to do with Lissandra. She, despite being used in the current meta as an engage tool, as a frontliner, she actually is squishy to no end. So if she is not able to throw down her ultimate on herself, if she is not able to Zhonya's, she's going to result in a score like this where she is 1-2-4, or 1-12-4. And the early putting her behind to make sure that Lux was able to just 100-0 her with her combo whenever she would land the Q. I mean, this is what it results in. An absolute runaway of a game. And certainly not to downplay the Jinx, who did go quite insane herself, 8-2-9. Again, we saw in the damage totals, she actually was the highest damage in the game. Definitely was putting out lots of damage on targets in those team fights. So that will be the game going over to Microsoft Deconstructors. And apologies for in the previous video, I did misstate that for anyone who watched that and this one. Microsoft won, was the game, was the winner of the previous game I casted on this channel. So a clean sweep for Microsoft on the games I've casted at least today over this Amazambonis team. So if you did enjoy this game, we will have more games next week as we enter the 7th week of the After Hours Gaming League's 2015 season. Thank you all for joining me. If you want to see the schedule coming up, feel free to visit the After Hours Gaming League website, where the schedule will be posted. These videos will be uploaded there. And of course, these videos will always be uploaded on my channel and streamed live there going forward as well. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the games today. And to everybody who's hanging out on the stream, thank you for watching. It was an absolute pleasure to have you guys here today. Had a lot of interaction in the chat today, which was certainly fun. We did break my record of highest number of viewers on the live stream. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the matches today, and that will be all. We unfortunately do not have any more matches scheduled for today. So that will be the rest of the games for today. Again, the slate for today was, pulling up the entire results for today, we did have the game that I was not able to cast because it was unfortunately forfeited between Crunchyroll and Apple Inc. That was forfeited to Crunchyroll. And then the second game between Microsoft One, ONE, and Google AdWords. That went over to the Microsoft One team, and the game we just saw, Microsoft Deconstructors versus Amazambonis, went over to the Microsoft Deconstructors team. So thank you all for watching. I hope you had a good time today, and I will be uploading all of these videos to YouTube. So keep an eye out for the recordings posted there, probably within about an hour and a half of each game. So the first one should be up by now. It should be finished processed, or at least finished processing very soon. And this one will be up in about an hour, hour and a half. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys next time.